It's the morning of the second day of filming, and we are in the College of Philosophical Studies. I guess that's how it's called in English. But anyway, they have this very nice hallway. The guys from the art department brought a lot of vintage chairs, a lot of American flags, so they could dress the hallway and make it look American. And do you remember these AC units that we were worried about? Well, the guys made wooden covers, and then on top they put some flowers and plants, and instead of the period inappropriate AC units, now you have nice flower planters. And now we have to film a lot of people just walking through the corridors of NASA. Almost all the shots planned for this location will be shot with a dolly camera. Therefore, the grip department had to put a long rail, and the camera will constantly move from side to side, following the actors when they walk through the shot. First we film Neil Armstrong walking through the corridor, and then we film President Nixon and his entourage, you know, so it's gonna be a lot of walking today.
Oh, here's the crew, the delegation. How are you guys?
Too early to talk on camera.
Yeah. Get a coffee first.
Let's kick some ass.
Yeah. We are in the makeup department and in the costume department, and this is the place where we're preparing the president's security. We're here with our president, and this is a really serious production, and the president had to go to the toilet, and he found out what?
There's no toilet paper in the cubicles. I've got to wipe my backside with
This. I think it's gonna serve well, Mr. President.
I hope it doesn't make my buttocks sore.
Have a good poo-poo.
Thank you, son.
My name's RINTOUL. I'm playing Neil Armstrong in Splashback. I'm from London, and I've done The Terror, where I played George Chambers, who was a ship's boy. I played a young Sean Bean in Broken, and lots of other bits and pieces that aren't coming to my mind at the minute.
Yeah, we can try always the higher dramatic version and a bit more realistic. That's also like acting-wise. We always do for both. Then we find the sweet spot.
In the film, this scene will probably take 10 or 15 seconds, but it needs to be dynamic. So we shot him walking in different angles. And it's a scene that shows him going to the men's room, so that's why he walks funny. We filmed his medium close-up, then we filmed a close-up of his feet, then a long shot of him walking through the corridor.
One more time, stay rolling and faster, Sam. Can you do this faster?
And you know, just take after take of him walking, because you know, sometimes the camera doesn't follow him correctly, sometimes he's not in focus, sometimes he's not focused. That was a bad joke, I'm sorry. Before each take, the grip department would pump some haze in the room, because it makes everything look a bit more magical. And since we also had the B camera, we placed it at the end of the corridor, and we got the angle of him walking towards the camera. Even though we didn't really plan this angle, if you have a second camera, just use it. You get some shots for free. After Neil Armstrong, it was time for the presidential party to walk through the same corridors. And again, they just had to walk, I don't know, 10-15 times through the hallway, camera following them, until we get a couple of good shots. Now, our bodyguards were of all shapes and sizes, and the age for that matter. I'm sure some of them were too old to be actual bodyguards, and in reality, United States Secret Service would be probably much more rigorous in their selection. But hey, these were the extras that we had. And when there's 10 or 15 of them together, you don't really look at anyone specifically. Alright, this is a great example of Dino and me when we work. Look at Dino, he's really enjoying himself. And look at me. It's fine, let's just get on with it.
Cut!
In this scene they need to be wet. I don't want to say why, but they have to be completely wet, so... and the droplets are falling from them when they walk. We have to completely soak them before it's shot. And while they walk, they sprinkle at the same time, so it's the droplets coming from them everywhere. Cut. Pretty good. Alright, so we filmed everything on this location, and now we are going to another building within the walking distance to film a beautiful shot of the stairs. So we are in the next location, so now everybody's gonna come down the stairs.
20B/1 prvi, samo kamera B.
The whole point of them walking through these endless corridors is just because we wanted to have this funny scene when the president is arriving to the NASA facility. And they're just walking and they're very serious and it's all extremely pompous and important. So we had a lunch and now we are back in the studio and we will shoot for the rest of the day just on green screen. We have a lot of the shots to make, you know, but since it's green screen, you just have to do the light on the people. And that's it, so it's probably to go faster. All of these green screen shots that we film on this afternoon will later have to be augmented with miniatures. The green screen will have to be replaced with the miniature shots that we will film somewhere down the road. So a lot of the scenes are pretty easy to film because we just need Alan to stand there and do nothing important, you know, he's just gonna be a guy in the background. One amazing thing was that our directing style in this film consisted mostly of locked-off shots. If the camera moved, for example, you would need to tape a bunch of trackers all over the green screen to be able to track the camera motion later in post. But since our shots were static, there was no need for trackers, which meant much less work in post and much happier me. There's a small scene where NASA administrator and Jack Van Keur wait for the president to arrive. And no dialogue was planned for this, we just needed them to stand there. But because these actors always improvise something, you know, they always make up some additional lines.
By the end of this meeting, the president's gonna be kissing my ass.
And we recorded a few of them, but we'll see if they're gonna end up in a movie. These are just things that you make up on the spot.
Hi, I'm David Gilliam. I'm playing Bob. Been in a few things you might have heard of called Slumdog Millionaire and Severance. And so I feel this guy, you know, really knows what he's about. And he's got a lot of connections and authority. And when he talks to a senator about a budget, he makes sure that senator knows that he's going to get value for money.
How do you feel about the name?
Bob S. Crawler. Bob Simon Crawler. Well, some people know how to get ahead in life. Bob definitely knows.
Here we are filming a shot where the news reporters take pictures and interviews of Jack and Bob in front of the NASA building on the day of the Apollo launch. Yeah, we have a guest on the set today. Perhaps you recognize this face. It was a perfect opportunity to give a small cameo role to our buddy Dragon Rage. The police guy from Slice of Life. So, yeah. Hi. We found this Stetson hat that fit him perfectly, and suddenly he became this wealthy oil tycoon from Texas or something. And we just pulled out a random ID card with a funny name, and thus the legendary character Al Dente was born. We thought Jack Van Keur would be very fond of Al Dente, knowing the guy is filthy rich, and maybe he even personally invited Al to come to Florida and watch the Apollo launch, with the hopes he might benefit from it one day. So we filmed them shaking hands, enjoying the spotlight, and they again improvised some lines.
You excited? Yeah. Excited? Yeah. No, excited! Well, really? Good! That's what I like to hear.
Bravo! Cool. Funny we got stuff. This. Perfect.
And of course, we were just having fun on the set, and absolutely nothing I just told you will be seen in the film. And the only thing we'll actually use is 3 seconds of this shot.
Hey, how we doing?
That's all. And that's how movies are made. But now you know the backstory, and from now on you will be able to share the legend of Al Dente. Then we filmed some extras from different angles, holding the cameras, In post-production, all of these shots will be combined to create the illusion of a bustling news scene at the launch. The guys from the art department were also handling our props, and they had a bunch of these vintage cameras on standby, so when we need a certain prop for the shot, they can just provide it in seconds. Of course, it's very probable that someone who knows something about these cameras might say, "Hey, this is a 1971 camera and your film is set in 1969. But look, nobody cares.
20/8 prvi, kamera A i B.
Next scene was the arrival of President Nixon. This was the only scene today with scripted dialogue.
May I introduce Jack Wanker, one of our brightest minds?
It's a real honor, Mr. President.
And we had to do a proper coverage with all the necessary angles. We started with the master shot with all of them, and camera B was simultaneously filming a close-up of Jack Wanker. Wanker.
I like to think I'm only serving my country, sir.
Spoken like a true patriot, son. You got a bright future ahead of you. Now lead on.
Cool. Cut. Okay.
Then it was time for the close-up of President Nixon. Bob and Jack were done for the day, so they left back to their hotel. So I stood in for Jack, and I fed Nixon his lines.
I like to think I'm only serving my country. Spoken like a true patriot. You got a bright future ahead of you. Lead on. I think one more because
Yeah. There are.
I'm going to get the sun in the right place because it's spoken like a true patriot. You've got a bright future ahead of you, son.
The last setup of the day was a shot of President Nixon and two bodyguards driving in a car, drinking some soda. This is Dr. Pee-Pee, brand of drink used in this film. It's healthy and vitamin wealthy. They're supposed to be riding in a presidential limo, and of course we didn't have a limo. But the shot is pretty tight and we knew we could get away with just using a black modern car.
Okay, Mr. President, you're again late. A bit faster.
Of course, everything in this film is designed and stylized in some way, even the characters. So we wanted them to drink one after the other in a choreographed manner. That was the last shot for today. The guys in the limousine were drinking some Dr. Pee-Pee, and that's it. Another day well done.